What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? Let me know am I coming through okay. TIC family influencer training. I'm super excited, guys. Super excited. Cool. That's what's up, Rhonda. What up, y'all? Check in with me. Let me see who all in here. What up, Jesse? What up, Michael? We got about a minute before we start. And so I really want you guys to lock in. My chest is kind of hurting today, so excuse me if I'm a little, I don't know, I'm not really under the weather, but I'm actually ready to go. So make sure you guys are locked in. Make sure you got your pen and your pad. Make sure we're taking some notes today with this influencer training. So to go ahead and get started, I want to talk about first and foremost of, the word influencer, right? I want to be clear about this. Like, it doesn't matter what you want to be, whether you want to be a speaker, you want to be a teacher, you want to be none of that, you want to be an author, you want to be a musician, whatever you want to be, I want you to understand this fact. Without those titles, you are an influencer, right? You are influencing somebody to do something. Whether it's your kids, whether it's your friends, whether it's your coworkers, whether it's strangers, you are influencing people to do something. And so since you know that and you understand that, the question I want you to ask yourself right now, and be honest, like I said, it doesn't do any good to write in the chat box some good stuff if not real. So be honest with yourself and ask yourself this question. Somebody asked myself way back in the gap is, how am I influencing people, right? If somebody was to come around my life, if somebody was to interact with me, and you've heard me say this 1,000 times, if I couldn't say one word at all, what would my life say? And so I really want you to think about that. If you couldn't say one word, right? If you couldn't talk it, type it, if you couldn't say one word, how would you be influencing people to live their life, right? Would you influence people to settle? Would you influence people to, make the world respect their greatness? Would you influence people to heal? Would you influence people to have a stronger faith? Like, how are you influencing people? So I really want you to think about that before we dive into this. And I know a lot of you are in here because you want to grow your brand. I know a lot of you are in here because you probably want to, the word influencer now has been the word for social media, right? You now want to use your social media to influence people. Maybe it's to grow your business. Maybe it's like me, to be a speaker. Maybe it's to be a trainer. Maybe it's to, whatever it may be. What we're going to talk about today is key. All right, it's key. And if you follow me, I just want to be clear. I'm not the guy that's going to give you like some secret hacks. I'm not the guy that's going to teach you how to fake it till you make it. I'm not the guy that's going to sell you success. I'm not the guy that's going to sell you a dream that I'm not living. I'm not going to sell you a dream that's not even capable of living. I'm going to be real. I'm going to be raw. I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. So if you're not in here, like if you're not, whatever it is that you want to do, like whatever your brand is, to me, if it's not to create impact, okay, we're going to break down the word impact. If it's not to create impact, what are you doing it for? What are you doing it for? And I'm just going to be real. And I'm not here to talk down on anybody. So I'm not going to say any names. I'm not here to talk down on anybody because that's their life, right? That's what they want to do. But there are a lot of influencers out there that aren't leading with impact. Okay. They're leading with business. They're leading with how can I make more money? They're leading with, selfishness. So if you're in the business of being an influencer and you are connected with me, right? I'm your coach, you follow me, whatever. My job for you is to understand that you are in servanthood. Okay. You are in servanthood. You are here to serve, right? You are here to impact lives. It's always impact over numbers. Most people don't lead with impact. What they lead with is selfishness. What they lead with is how can I get more followers so I can be more significant, right? They lead with significance. They make it about themselves. And what bothers me, and I'm getting worked up already, what bothers me is when I get around these influencers, right? And I'm around them and I just sit back and look and I observe and I realize that they're not who they say they are, right? They put out this facade of, oh, I care about the people who support me. I care about the people who follow me. But then you see them in person and they're running away from those people. They don't have time for those people. And I talked about this at a conference I was with last week. A lot of you know, one of the main things that I said, I'm not going to teach much on this today. We'll visit this probably next time. But one of the things that I've said is that if you can't make time for the people that support you, so I don't care what business you're in, if you want to call it customers, if you want to call them followers, if you want to call them supporters, I call you guys rehabbers. If you can't make time, I'm not saying you can be there for everybody, but if you can't make time for the ones that support you, why are you doing it? Okay, so if you're in this training to just get money, to just say, oh, I want millions of followers, to just make it about yourself, you might want to log off right now, because it's not about that at all. Those things are byproducts. You know, will you get you might, right? You might make tons of money from it. You might have tons of followers. But the point I'm trying to make is that I need all of you in here to understand this. You have to lead with, I can't read you guys' comments right now. I'm gonna ask questions to me after, okay? Because if I read y'all's comments, I'm gonna get sidetracked. You have to lead with impact. So write that down. Write that down. Say, I must lead with impact, right? Every day, lead with impact, because impact will keep you on track. And that kind of rhyme, but it will. You know, when I look back over my speaking career, right, my brand, there were so many times when if I wasn't leading with impact, I would have quit. Why? Because the external things, which I'm gonna talk about in just a second, the external things weren't there, right? The money wasn't there. The followers, the fame, all this stuff that don't really matter, to be real with you, because you can't take none of that with you. All those things weren't there. People weren't showing up at my events. People weren't watching videos. People weren't tuning into me. But for me, it was all about impact. It was never about that stuff. And so if you're getting into being an influencer, right, building your brand, and you're making about that stuff, just about that stuff, you're probably going to quit. And that's what you see a lot of people do. You see a lot of people start something, but they never finish. Why? Because it's not real to them. It's not real for them. So I just want to make that clear as we get started, okay? Make it about impact. Lead with impact. And so we're going to break down the word impact, and make sure you write these things down, okay? I'm not doing this just to have you type on the chat roll and not apply it to your life, because we know what? Information, inspiration means absolutely nothing without implementation. So write down these notes, and the person who takes the coolest notes, I'm going to share it. So I know I forgot her name, but she took some dope notes. I'm like, man, I need you to be my professional note taker for real. So write down notes, okay, and share it to the group. Shout out to Shelly too for being the rehabber of the month. And people ask, like, why was she the rehabber? She was just engaged. She was living it. She was breathing it. She was being it. She caught my attention. And so shout out to Shelly, and make sure you guys, you know, keep doing what you're doing. A lot of you, it was very hard, honestly. Like, it was very hard. I was like, man, I wish I could pick 10 of you guys, 20 of you guys. So keep doing what you're doing. I'm proud of you. I'm seeing the growth take place. I'm seeing the transformation take place. And it's because you guys are actually applying these things to your life. So let's break down the word impact, okay? And I know acronyms are kind of corny, right? It's like, oh, the I stands for this. I know they can be corny, but literally, like, when I think of the word impact, I apply these things to my life. The cool thing about acronyms is that they can be great reminders, right? Simple things to keep you on track. So let's break down the word impact. Okay, the I. The I in impact stands for intention. Okay, and we kind of just touched on this, but that would be the question I want to ask you right now. It's like, what's your intention in being an influencer? What's your intention in starting your company? What's your intention in starting your brand? You need to be clear about that. Like, you need to have some clarity about that, because in this journey, you know, my journey of 10 years, there've been so many road bumps. And if I wasn't clear about the intention of why I started, right? Why I started Rehab Time, I would have quit. And the sad part about it is that so many people, because we live in a social media world now where it's so easy to get influenced, right? You might see me and you might say, oh, I want to do what Trent does because I want what Trent has. And if you're operating like that, if you're influenced like that, you're not going to make impact, right? You might see somebody else and say, oh, I want to do what they do because I want what they have. Nothing wrong with being influenced. But if you want to do what somebody does, right, let that influence you to come up with a real organic, authentic reason of why you're starting something. So what was my intention with Rehab Time? Why is it so important? My intention with rehab time literally was to help people turn their pain into their power, right? That's a cool way to put it. But my college roommate committed suicide. I didn't want anybody else to feel like that, right? I told my promise to him, right? My promise to him. That's why it's so real. That's why it's so real. Like my promise, it started for a real reason. It wasn't no external weak reason to start rehab time, right? Literally, it was I didn't want people to ever feel like he felt, period, right? So my intention was pure. My intention was real. I didn't have any external motivation because for one, I never thought it would be here. I never thought I would even be a speaker. So the reason I started rehab time, right? My intention was pure. You know, one way to find out if your intention is pure, and I challenge people with this all the time. The people that I coach one-on-one that are trying to be speakers, I challenge them with this all the time. Would you do it for free? Whatever it is, right? Not saying that you have to do it for free, but if it came down to it, whatever it is that you want to do, right? Whatever service that you're in, only you know, whatever brand you're trying to build, would you do it for free? And if your answer is no, your intention probably isn't pure. And I'm sorry to say that I said probably, because maybe it still might. But when it came to rehab time, right, there's still things I still do for free, still to this day. And trust me, I'm to the point now where I don't have to, right? I can validate why I don't have to because literally I'm requested every single day. And that's spending time away from my family. But there's still things I do for free, right? When I first started rehab time, I literally spent the first 2 or 3 years speaking for free. I was working at 24-hour fitness. I was training kids on the side. And I literally was going out to speak for free. And when you put free in somebody's face, especially, it baffles me. Like it baffles me when you have somebody that's an influencer. You have somebody that, you know, is trying to build their brand and you give them an opportunity and they want to get paid for it. When they haven't put any work, when they haven't paid the price, don't ask to get paid for something when you haven't paid the price, right? If you're just starting, it shouldn't be about that. Literally. Now, can you get paid? Absolutely. Will you get paid for your service? Absolutely. Am I telling you to do it for free your whole life? No, I'm not. But I just want you to see if your intention is right, if your motives are right. Like, so would you do it for free? Right? If it came down to it, because that's how you know you're really like passionate about something, that you really care about it. I would speak on stages for free all the time. I would. I did. I still do at times. Right? Of course, I can't do everything for free because I'll be burnt out. But literally, I would do it for free. So ask yourself that question, would you do it for free? And if you say, no, I wouldn't, you know, then examine that. You know, why wouldn't you? You know, it's funny. You know, I'm going to talk about speaking a lot because that's the place that I'm in. But you can take this to any avenue, right? It could be anything. But when I challenge speakers to say, listen, spend this whole year speaking for free. Like you just started. Spend this whole year speaking for free. They look at me like I'm crazy, right? Because they want the stage. They want the 7,000 people. I say, hey, go to schools. Go to a school right now. Go to elementary schools. Go to nursing homes. Like go wherever. Go to homeless shelters. Go speak. And they feel like they're above that, right? And it lets me know immediately they're not in it for the right reason. And a lot of people aren't. And I'll tell you right now, a lot of people that you probably see on social media that I know personally that I'm not going to throw them under the bus, they're not in it for the right reason at all, right? They're in it for themselves. And if servanthood cannot result into selfishness, you're not a servant if you're selfish, period. So would you do it for free? That's a great question to ask yourself. The third part of intention that I briefly touched on, especially with my why, is what's your why? Like, what's the reason why you want to start your company? What's the reason why you want to start your business? What's the reason why you want to start your brand? What's the reason why you want to be an influencer? And I'm going to tell you right now, if your why is weak, and usually those external things we talked about are very weak whys. If your why is weak, you will quit. 95% of you will quit because what you're looking for isn't showing up. And we live in a time where everything is microwave now. Like social media has made everything seem easy, right? So you see somebody like, oh, I can do that. but you don't realize the work that was put in. You guys know my story. You know, I've been doing this for 10 years just to get to this year. This year, that's tremendous. I've been doing this for 10 years. But a lot of people want that instant success. They want that instant growth. They want that instant fame. And they're not willing to sign up for it forever. I made a decision. I made a decision, a real decision. I'm not talking about some flaky, I'm not talking about some kind of decision. A real decision is when you burn the bridges, when you burn the boats. It ain't no going back. I said, I'm signing up for this forever. And I didn't know I would be a speaker necessarily, but I said, this is the lifestyle that I'm going to sign up for. I'm not going back to the old lifestyle. I'm not going back to that old trend. And so I signed up forever. Therefore, with only way to go was forward, right? So I want you to think about that. Like, what's going to be your why? What's the reason? And when people have like tremendous impact, I notice that their why is so pure, right? It's usually tied into, I went through this, so I don't want other people to go through this. Or I didn't have this, so I want to provide the services for people, to have what I didn't have. So what is going to be your why? Like, what's that intention? What's your why? What you do it for free, right? Cut off the external motivation. When people don't show up for you, are you still going to show up? It's funny, I have people say, I don't want to go live because there might be only 2 people show up. I'm like, 2 people? That's enough. Would you still show up if nobody showed up for you? There's events where literally I've had probably 10 people show up and I still showed up and I still gave the same passion, because it's not about the numbers. It's about the impact, because it's real. So is it real for you? And I'm sorry, I'm passionate about this stuff, man, because I'm seeing a world of influencers that it's not real. It is not real, and it sucks. So if you're in here, we're going to make sure it's real. Okay. So the I stands for intention. Write these notes down, right? What's your why? You should be thinking through this. Okay. What is the reason why I want to do this? And make sure it's a strong reason. Mine was the promise I made to my friend that committed suicide. That's my why behind rehab time. And of course, to help my life, to help myself, all those other things, but that was the main why. You can have tons of whys if you want to. Okay. So the I is for intention. And these are things you work through. You can work through this every single day. Am I making impact? Okay, let me go down the checklist. Am I intentional? Right? What's my intention? Is my intention? Because let's even talk about this for a minute. I'm sorry, guys. Like, you can see I'm passionate about this. You even have to check your intention at times, right? As I grew, I had to go back and check my intention. Because my intention, like all the notoriety, right? The money that was coming in, like the attention that was coming in, right? It's those things can really mess you up, because what happens is that you go from a purpose mindset. What's a purpose mindset? This impact thing we're talking about. This is a purpose mindset, right? You're focused on impact. You're leading with impact. You go from a purpose mindset as you grow, right, to a business mindset. And I always tell you guys, you got to have a business mindset if you have a business, right? Let's be real. But your purpose mindset should always be far greater than your business mindset. And there's a lot of people that have it backwards, right? Their business mindset is great, but their purpose mindset is maybe 20%, 10%. Their business mindset is 90%. So they make all their decisions from business. And that's not going to always make impact. More than likely, it's not going to make impact, because you're always leading with business. Oh, I'm not going to do this because they're not paying me this amount of money, right? When you could go to that engagement, when you can go to that arena, whatever it is, and you can make a tremendous impact. They might pay you less, but guess what? The impact you made is priceless. And the only way you're going to do things like that is if you are leading with impact and you're leading with purpose, right? Having that purpose mindset. But as you grow, right, as your business grows, this business mindset starts to creep up, because now you have people to pay. You have employees to pay. You got to, you have rent to pay. And so now it's like, okay, so you got to always keep these things in check. These are things that I keep in check, as much as I can. So even the question that, if you guys have questions, write your questions in the comments. Brenda will see these and I'll look at them after. Like I said, I'm not paying attention to the chat roll right now because I'm super focused on delivering you guys quality, delivering you guys impact. Okay. So I is for intention. Let's move on to the M. What does the M stand for in impact? The M stands for magnet. If you've been following me for a little while, you hear me talk about the word magnet. What is a magnet, right? A magnet is something that attracts, right? A magnet pulls in. If I had a magnet right here and I had something right here, right? A magnet will pull that thing in, right? So what's your magnet? I call it your it factor. You know, there's something about you, right? There's something about you that's going to make you stand out. So if you're on social media being an influencer, if you're like everybody else, then you probably can get what everybody else gets. But when you tap into that it factor about you, you might say, Trent, I don't have it. Every single one of you that's on here, that's watching this, that will watch this, you have an it factor about you. You have something about you that's different than everybody else. That uniqueness about you. For some of you, it might be the way you talk. You know, I'm trying to think of the lady. Ah, man, I have so much in my brain right now that shared her video. I can't think of her name. She's probably on here. And I wanted to tell her, I actually shared her on my, and Brenda can remind me. Let me look at the chat. Oh, Pamela. I think it is Pamela. Yeah, so Pamela. Just saw the name right here. So Pamela, I believe that's who shared that video. If I'm wrong, excuse me. But I shared it on my Instagram stories because Pamela, I don't know if she knows it or not, she has an it factor. Maria was actually sitting next to me. She's like, man, her voice, I can listen to her all day. It's something about her voice, right? That's her it factor, right? Me, my it factor is probably my voice, my certainty, my passion, right? My directness. That's my it factor. Some people's it factor, you know, are their looks, but that's kind of, you know, that'll fade. So I don't think that's like a real it factor, but, you know, maybe so. Maybe it's your smile. Maybe it's the way you make people laugh. Maybe it's your caring heart, right? Figure out your it factor. That thing about you that's different than everybody else that makes you unique. And sometimes we think that our uniqueness is our weakness because we think there's something about us that people want, like, and love. But if you look on social media, there's people that have disabilities, literally have disabilities, right? That turn that into their greatest ability. There might be somebody with no arms or legs, right? That's built their platform because of that. There might be someone who, you know, to the world looks a certain way, but they own their looks and their looks have now built their platform, right? Because they owned it. You cannot be afraid to be yourself. You know, you cannot be afraid to be who you were created to be. That's your magnet, right? The thing that pulls people in. Start the trend. I see a lot of people who follow the trend. You know, when I first started Rehab Time with my brand, there wasn't many people that were using their cell phones that was direct, straight to your face, that was telling you straight up, that was raw and real. There wasn't many of that. You know, that what I thought would work against me, you know, the way I look, my tattoos and my dreads worked for me, right? It kind of set me apart. Like, who is this guy? You know, what is this guy going to talk about? This guy looks like this and he's in motivation, but I own that. I own that. And what most people thought would work against me, even me at a point, really works for me. Okay, so start the trend. Start your own trend. Maybe it's something that you say, you know, I don't know if people forget that. If it's on your heart to do it, do it. Be a trendsetter. Start the trend, right? That's going to be your magnet. So one way you can find out, and I want you to do this for homework, to find out what your magnet is, ask people. Right? We live in a social media world. You literally can source out. You can ask people. Ask your family. Ask your friends. Ask people, like, what is it about me that stands out? What is it about me that shines through? What is it about me that radiates? And for you guys thinking right now, oh, there's nothing about me, stop living in your limitations. Okay? There is something about you. UTIC. There's something about you. I can promise you that. But when you're living in your limitations, which I know a lot of you aren't, because a lot of us are growing and becoming more confident. Maybe you need to go back to that confidence training we first started. But there's something about you that stands out. I can promise you that. There's something. Like I said, maybe it's the way you care. Maybe it's the way you articulate words. Maybe it's the way you smile. Maybe it's the way you laugh. Maybe it's the way, you know, how bluntness you are, right? Maybe just blunt, straight to the point. You don't care about imperfections. Maybe it's that. Like, figure out your magnet, because if you don't figure out your magnet, it's going to be very hard to make impact in this world. I can promise you that. If you look at anybody making an impact, you can find something about them that's distinct. Anybody that's making an impact, you can find something about them. And The powerful thing about that is that they own their magnet. So when I found out with myself, like what my magnet was, because I asked you guys, I asked my parents, I asked them, I was like, why do you guys follow me? Why do you watch my videos? Oh, that's the reason. Okay, cool. Let me bring more of that out, right? Let me bring more of the passion out. Let me bring more of the realness out. Let me be just straight up to the point. Let me stop trying to be all polished and professional. Let me just be purposeful, right? That was what shined through. And so I own that. I multiplied that. I tripled down. I doubled down. I quadrupled down on it. And so I bring more of that because I know that's what's going to pull people in. So what's going to pull people in from you, right? What's that magnet that you have, that it factor, that aura about you that's going to pull people in? And I'm going to tell you how you even get to that in a second, okay? Like confidence is a big, big part of that. Big, big part of that. So the M is for magnet, okay? M is for magnet and impact. So we talked about the I. I is for intention, right? Make sure your intention is right. We got to always check in on that. Make sure that we in the right mindset. M is for magnet, right? What's that thing about us? We got to always check in with that. Okay, what is that that's pulling people to me, right? What's that magnet that's separating me from everybody else, right? What's my uniqueness? We're all created different. Everybody's created different. All right, P and impact. The P stands for power. Okay, power. Power creates connection. Okay, connection is very, 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 very important. Connection is important. This is what separates a lot of influencers, a lot of people, a lot of speakers, a lot of brands, a lot of businesses, is that many people can communicate, right? Many people can have a great product, all of that, but not everyone can connect, right? Not everyone can find that power and connection. When you have power and connection, it takes whatever you're doing to a whole nother level, That's what separates people. So how do we create this power, right? How do we create this power and impact? The first question I want to ask you is this: is it real for you? And this is very, very important, okay? I see a lot of this right now in this world. I see a lot of this fake it till I make it mentality. I see a lot of people who aren't living it, but they're talking a great game. Great game. And that's why a lot of people don't connect with them. I'm going to pat myself on the back real quick because I feel like this is one of my magnets, just my connection with people. Like I understand people. I literally do. I care, right? When you care for people, that creates connection. When you don't care, when you're making it all about yourself, you're never going to connect with your audience, ever. Because you're all about yourself. You're asking your audience, what can you do for me? But you're not concerned about them. You're not concerned about serving. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. I know one for a fact, I'm probably the most followed motivational speaker in the world. One of for sure. Top 5 for sure. As far as through all platforms that people consider themselves motivational speakers, I'm probably the most followed motivational speaker in the world. I would definitely say top 5 to be safe. And people always ask me, how? How did I get this huge platform, right? How did I get millions and millions of people, which it shouldn't even matter about that because I got millions by caring to impact one life, for one. But how did you get millions of people to follow you, right? How did you get millions of people to watch your videos? And what I see is that there are a lot of people that are great, speakers and things like that. And like they have, in the world, they have great, like they're notoriety, right? They're celebrities and all that stuff. But when it comes to online, it doesn't translate, right? It doesn't translate at all. And I started to think about that, like, why aren't these people translating online? And it's not everybody, but the thing that I saw was, and I realized when I sat back and looked, is that they have no connection with people, right? They communicate great. Communication will get you on stages. Communication will, get you in rooms. Communication will create opportunities, but communication is not enough in order to impact. I'm gonna say that word 1,000 times today. Impact someone's life. You got to have a strong connection, and a strong connection comes from caring. A strong connection comes from total belief. So back to that question, is it real for you? Right? So when people ask that question, how'd you get millions of followers? For one, it was real for me. Like this is real. This is where I have total belief in everything I talk about. Everything I talk about. I live it. Do I live it 100%? No, I'm a human being, but pretty close. I live it. I breathe it. I be it. And I see a lot of people, they try to work their way into a platform, into a room, onto a stage without trying to pay the price of living it. And that's why they have no connection. There's a disconnect because it's not real. I can't explain it. I'm sure it's backed by science somewhere, but I can't really explain it. But it's not going to be a true connection if it's not real for you, right? If you're speaking from the mind, which you might sound great, you might have great information, you might be, very smart, you might can put words in a way that nobody else can put it. But if you're not coming from the heart, if it's not real for you, if you're not living it, you're not going to connect. And that's where the power is connection. You guys can feel that from me, right? You guys know, you guys feel that power. You guys, I see it all the time. Trent, it feels like you know me. Trent, it feels like this message was for me. Trent, like it comes from me totally believing in what I talk about. And you know why I believe it is because I live it, because I practice it. This is not something that I just study and then go talk about, right? Knowledge is great, but to me, knowledge is pointless if you're not living it. There's a lot of people who are very, who study the right things, who read books, and it's great, right? But you're not living. It doesn't matter how many books you read if that doesn't become a part of your lifestyle. Okay, so question, is it real for you? So the brand that you're starting, the business that you starting, whatever it may be, like, is it real for you? And understand this process. It's going to take time to grow. If we're talking about social media, it's going to take time to grow because you're taking the long journey, right? You're taking the slow road. While you might see other people fast forward because they buying followers, they buying likes, they putting up this whole facade. I call it WWE, right? I say social media a lot of times is WWE. Ain't nothing about it real, pretty much. And you see all of this, and you're like, dang, like they're really doing it. But if you pay attention, if you really pay attention and you look, they're not really impacting lives at all because they're not connecting with people. And so by you doing this the slow, you might be like, dang, man, like I'm only getting 100 likes, or I'm only reaching this amount of people. Like, change your mindset with that. Like, you are reaching that amount of people. Like, you're reaching somebody outside of yourself. Stop taking that lightly. If somebody's giving you their attention, if somebody's following you, do not take that lightly. I don't care if it's 1 or 1 million. Don't take that lightly. There is something about you that now has connected them to you. You have a magnet that has pulled them in. And when you can, like I said, when you can understand that magnet, I would ask them, like, hey, man, why do you follow me? Like, what is it about me? And when you understand that magnet, guess what? You can pull others in. Don't take that lightly. Impact over numbers. Every day, all day. Don't allow social media to make you feel like you less because you don't have a blue check or whatever by your name. Forget all that. None of that stuff matters anyway at the end of the day, as long as you're impacting lives, okay? So power, P for power. The second part of power, the next question I want to ask you is, do you believe in you? Like, do you believe in yourself? Like, and I'm not talking about me believing in you. I'm not talking about your mama, your friend, whoever you follow on social media. I'm talking about you. Do you believe in yourself? Like 100%. Because if you don't, there will be a disconnect. Again, the reason I'm able to talk with confidence, we talked about this in the confidence training, is I believe in myself. Do I go through my times of doubt? Yes, I do. But you know what? My belief in myself outweighs my doubt. And so when I feel those emotions of doubt, facts over feelings, as you see it on this shirt, I hit myself with the facts. I believe in myself. I don't need nobody to pat me on my back. I don't need nobody to tell me, Trent, you are great. While those things sound good and I appreciate those things, I know I'm great because I was created by a great God. I know what God called me to do. So I believe in myself. And you feel that. When I'm in a room, you feel that. You can feel that energy. You can feel belief. In the gym, you can feel when somebody's just believing in themselves. Speaking, when somebody's online, you can feel it. So do you believe in you? And if you're not believing in you, what limitations are you putting on your life, right? This is going back to the reality release repair training, right? You got to dig deep. What limitations on your life are you putting on yourself that's caused you not to wholeheartedly believe in yourself? And a lot of belief comes from living it, right? A lot of belief comes, what we're going to talk about in a minute, consistency. A lot of that comes from that, right? Doing it over and over and over again, that builds your confidence. The last question I'm going to ask you with power is, how can you create more power in your life? How can you do that? You should be writing this down right now. How can you create more power in your life, right? We talked about living it. We talked about, we're going to talk about consistency. We talked about, is it real for you? Total belief. How can you believe in this more? Right? How can you have more confidence in yourself? And so a simple tactic is just showing up every single day, regardless, just showing up and going through those routines that we talked about so much throughout this year, having those routines in your life, right? And accomplishment breeds what? Confidence. And so the more we have these routines, the more we accomplish, the more we live it, the more we breathe it, the more we be it. LBB. That's the reason I used to say that stuff and still say it. LBB creates more power in your life, right? Believing in God more. For you guys that are believers with faith, realizing that your source, right? You have an unlimited source and God is working through you. God is using you. When you have that belief, like, there's nothing you can't do, right? Going to attack your impossibilities, right? One thing a week. Said, okay, back to the confidence. See, all this stuff relates, man. That's why I love saying going back to the confidence training, to let you know all these things are congruent. These things are not stuff I just make up. They're congruent. They all work together. But going back to that confidence training, like doing something that you never done, proving yourself wrong, that creates more power in your life. Why? Because it creates more confidence in your life. But if you're not living it, breathing it, being it, you won't have that power. You won't, because you won't have that connection, not just with other people. You won't have that connection with yourself. And that's very important, okay? So we talked about intention for I. We talked about magnet. We talked about P for power, which creates connection. A is activity, okay? Activity / actions. You got to go do it. You got to do it. You have to show up. You have to show up every day. Like, it's funny to me when people say that, or they come with an on-off switch. Like, it's funny to me that when people say, okay, this is my life, right? They're inspired, they're motivated. They say, okay, this is my life. Like, I want to influence people to do this. I want to be a speaker. Like, this is my life. This is what I was called to do. I want to be a rapper. I want to be whatever it may be. And then they don't show up every single day, right? They, when they don't get the response that they want, they go tuck their tail and they go hide and they go disguise it as a dream. Disguise it as a hobby, right? Saying, oh, this is not for my life anymore. It doesn't really matter. I just kind of want to, and you go back to that, right? No, when it's your life, when you signed up forever, when you say, okay, this is what I'm going to influence people to do, this I'm going to make an impact, you have to show up regardless. You have to show up and put action. Like, all of this stuff doesn't matter if you don't put action. If you're a speaker, if you don't create video, it doesn't matter. Right? If you don't get on stage and go speak to people, even if it's not on stage, it doesn't matter. If you're keeping everything inside of here, it doesn't matter how much great stuff you have inside of here. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you never give it to the world. It doesn't matter how great your gift is if you leave it wrapped up. It doesn't matter. You have to give your gift to the world. And yes, people are going to judge you. Yes, you're going to fail. Yes, all these things. Who cares? Who cares? Because you can learn from all of these things. Every L is a lesson. Every L is a lesson. So activity, movement creates influence. Think about this. Why are you guys so inspired by me? Okay, what's one reason why you're so inspired by me? And I can bet you, of course you might have a lot, but I can bet you that a lot of you are inspired because you see movement. You see me actually doing it, right? So when I'm talking about fitness, you're not just inspired because it sounds good, but you're really inspired because you see me in the gym. When I tell you, like, before you every day show up and make sure you're your best self, I took a picture today before this training, and I made sure that I went to the gym before this training. I made sure I got my workout in because I want to show up the best me, because we know, right? Activity, we know what that does. Those endorphins that releases. I want to make sure I was in the right space to show up for you guys in the right way. And you guys believe in me even more because you see the activity, you see the movement. A lot of people try to inspire people, try to impact people's lives without moving in their own lives. The greatest inspiration is the reflection of your own life. When people can look at you and be inspired by what you do, not necessarily what you say. What you say is great, but what you do is even more powerful. Even more powerful. Right? So we're talking about impact here today, guys. Impact, activity, right? Activity, movement creates influence. Start moving, start doing, start sharing. All of these things. No action, no impact. It's impossible to create impact with no action, especially lasting impact. It's impossible to create impact with no action. You got to put some action behind it. If you couldn't say one word, what would your life say? You know, check yourself into the game. Check yourself into the game. Stop waiting on your coach. Stop waiting on me. You know, I tell this story about Matthew, a kid I coached named Matthew, and I'm going to be real quick. I don't want to tell this whole story. Some of you might have heard this when I was on stage. But I coached a kid named Matthew. He was on my son's team. Matthew wasn't good. Just speaking facts. He wasn't good. And we were having a bad game, right? And so we had practice that next week. And so I poured into him like, man, make the world respect your greatness. Like you gotta give yourself permission to be great. And I'm fast forwarding through this story. So we get to the game, right? That next Saturday. And Matthew comes up to me. He's like, Coach, I want to go in. And I'm like, nah, I'm trying to nah, I don't want you to go. Like, just being real. Like, I'm trying to win. Like, nah. A little bit later, I said 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes. Comes back up to me 5 minutes later. Hey, Coach, I want to go in. I'm like, nah, Matthew. Okay, in 5 minutes, go in. So 5 minutes comes around. I'm expecting, actually, I'm not expecting him to come back up to me because I'm so focused on the game. So I just see a kid run out into the field. I see a kid run out to the field. So I'm tripping. I'm like, and it's Matthew. So I'm like freaking out. Other coaches looking at me like I'm a defensive coach. So they looking at me like, why you put him in? You tripping. And so I'm calling Matthew's name. Matthew probably heard me, but he keeps running. Right. So I have to pull off a kid. To make a long story short, the next 4 plays, Matthew makes plays. All right. Matthew makes plays. He kills it. He kills it. And he comes back to the sideline. I'm asking him, I asked Matthew, I said, first of all, he comes back to the sideline, knowing that he, you just did something. You're like, I wish somebody would tell me something. Like, I know I just balled out. You know what I'm saying? What you gonna say? And he had that look on his face, and I said, hey, man, who told you to go in the game? He said, you did. You told me to go in 5 minutes. And I was like, well, you're supposed to check in. And he was like, well, I said, you're supposed to check in. That's how you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be respectful. And Matthew goes, my bad, coach. The whole week you've been telling me to give myself permission to be great, to check myself in the game. And I did that. He was like, how did I do? Right? Just like that. And I was like, you did great. I couldn't even say nothing. Like, he balled out. But what he did, the whole point of that story, the shortened version of it, is that he checked himself into the game. He checked himself into the game. Life every single day, go check yourself into the game. Stop standing on the sidelines expecting something to happen. Stop watching everybody else. There's workers and there's watchers, right? There's workers and people who actually put in the work, right? They realize that I have 24/7, 365. I have, a limited time on this earth. And there's watchers, people who watch people. You watch the celebrity on TV. You watching social media. Oh, I'm about to get real on you guys right quick. Woo, you watching people on social media. You scrolling all day. You watching me all day. And you got that gift in your heart, and you're supposed to be in the game, in your game of life, and you sitting there just scrolling and watching everybody else live their lives, watching everybody else be happy, watching everybody else create impact. You just watching. You just watching. When are you going to check yourself in the game? Because you cannot create impact if you're not in the game. You cannot create impact standing on the sidelines. You can cheer and you can yell and all of that stuff, but you cannot create change if you're not in the game. So when are you going to check yourself in? And who you waiting on? Right? Who you waiting on? Go check yourself in the game, okay? Activity. So what does that look like for you? So implementation, what does that look like for you? What does checking yourself in the game look like? Is that going live? Is that doing a video? Is that putting out a business plan? What does that look like? What's that step? And some of you are already taking that step. So what's the next level? What does the next game look like? All right, what is your next step? What does that look like? If I was you right now, I would be writing that down. I would say, okay, this is what I need to do to check myself in the game. And I go through all of these myself still, by the way. Right? There's certain games, and I don't mean in a way of it's fake or it's play. No. It's certain games, right? I'm a sports head, so this relates to me. There's certain games that I need to be checked into. The podcast game, I need to be checked into that, right? I've been sitting on the sideline watching everybody else. So now it's time for me to put in the work and check myself in that game. Why not? Why not? What you got to lose? What do I have to lose? Okay, so activity is important. I hope you guys are getting some out of this, man. And anything you hear on here that resonates with you, like share it, like make it a cool, like take a picture, like make it a cool quote thing and tag me on Instagram. I'll share it. Like I said, show me your notes. Send me a message on Instagram. Say, hey, Trent, here are my notes. Or Trent, here's a cool quote that I found from the training, and I'll share it. Okay, for sure. So we talked about intention. We talked about M for magnet. We talked about power, right? We talked about activity. C, consistency. All right. In order to create impact, you have to be consistent. You have to be consistent. Okay? Do not come with an on and off switch. Please. The reason that you guys follow me, the reason that you're a part of TIC, one of the main reasons is because I've been consistent. You know what you're going to get from me. Period. You know when I go to Trent's page that he's going to have something on there that's going to motivate my life in this area. I've become that go-to person for you, right? Consistency makes you that go-to person. It's kind of part of the magnet. What are people going to come to you for? What is it going to be? And like I said, don't think that anything that you come up with is small. Because when I started Rehab Time, I thought it was a small thing. When you're consistent in the small things, you can create a major impact. What does consistency do? Number one, consistency creates trust. It creates trust. Even when you being consistent in your own life, right? Do you trust you? The more you're consistent at doing something, the more you trust yourself. And it's the same thing with your external life, right? The people that follow you, the people that are your customers, the people who are going to be a part of your, whatever you want to call them, rehabbers that I call my family. TIC, consistency creates trust. Can people trust you? It's crazy. I'm going to share this, and I'll probably share this on one of the trainings. People have always asked, like, what do you think one of the major things is for you? Like when it comes to you put out a video and everybody shares it, right? And it beats the boogeyman, the algorithm. If y'all don't know what the algorithm is, the algorithm, the Facebook algorithm, and people like, oh, you can't reach anybody on Facebook no more, Instagram, and so that, right? The algorithm is real, it's true, but you can still reach people. Obviously, we're doing it. And I'll tell you why we're doing it. Because of the consistency that I put in, that my team has put in over this last decade. One of the best ways to beat the algorithm is predictability. What do I mean by that? When you're predictable, you become shareable. You want to be shareable as quickly as you can, right? So what do you mean by that, Trent? What are you talking about? So I was watching a video. I don't know when it was, probably a year ago. And it was crazy to me because I started seeing people share my video. Some of you might do this, but I started seeing people share my video before the video was over. And so they'll be sharing it, it'd be the video might be 6 minutes long. They sharing it at 1 minute. They sharing it as soon as I post it. I'm just at first I was like, that's messed up. They ain't watching the whole video. But I was like, that's weird. And so what I did was, we all should do, is I went to go ask. So I found the person who shared it earlier. I asked them, I said, why are you sharing this video so quickly? They gave me a few reasons. They said, one, I know I can trust you, Trent. I know that the content you put out is going to be something that's going to help people because I've been following you for so long. I understand your consistency. The second reason is that, I want to be one of the first people to share it. I want people to see the video from me, right? And so it hit me. I was like, wow, people trust me so much that they don't even have to watch the video for them to share it, right? So consistency creates trust, and that's how you beat the algorithm. So if I'm having 2,000 people share a video in its first 30 seconds, first 20 seconds, first 10 seconds, then that's going to tell the algorithm that this video is impactful and it's going to reach more people. But that came with creating consistency because people trusted me. You guys trusted me, right? Consistency. What else does it create? It creates confidence. The more you do something, the more you become confident at it. We talked about this in the confidence training. So the more you pursue your craft, or you master your craft, right? Mastery, self-mastery, all these things, it creates confidence. The reason I'm so confident on camera is because I've been on camera for years and I've been doing it over and over and over again. Most people are scared to be on camera. Why? Because they haven't been consistent with it. The more you do something, the more you'll become confident at it. So the question I want to ask you when it comes to confidence is, what is the message that you're going to be consistent in giving this year? Like, what's the message? So for me, I want to be consistent in self-worth. I made up my mind. I say, you know what, I'm going to dibble and dabble in other things, of course, like now, like I like to talk about influencer training and building your brand, but I know my magnet, right? My magnet is self-worth. And so I came to a point where I said, you know what, I'm gonna be consistent in giving out self-worth content, because now people know that I'm going to be the self-worth guy. I'm going to be that go-to guy. It wasn't people in that arena, right? At all. That's what said starting the trend. People don't even call themselves self-worth coaches. I call myself a self-worth coach. It's not even a thing. Like, if you look it up, there's self-love and stuff like that, but I'm a self-worth coach. I created that, for myself. I don't care, like, if it's real now. So realize that too. Like, you can create whatever. Like, you can be whatever you want to be. Especially now, these days, in the social media era, you can be whatever you want to be. So I call myself a self-worth coach. People are like, well, what's that? A person that coaches you on your self-worth? So think about that, all right? So C is for consistency. T, what do y'all think T is for? What do y'all think T is for? I'm looking at you guys' comments on this one. I want to see if you guys know me well enough, if I've been consistent enough to see if you guys can really know me. Trust? No. Team sounds good. Trust? What's something that I talk about a lot that starts with a T? Trent. I talk about this a lot. And I think I actually reflect it a lot. Together, true. Come on, guys. I must not be that consistent in this. I talk about this a lot. It starts with a T. I'm like, you need to be like this. Like, it's okay. It's okay. I can't say that because I'm gonna give it away. I'm gonna see if y'all can get it. I'm gonna take about 2 more people. Transparent. There you go, Pamela. There we go. Give it up for Pamela. There we go. Exactly. Transparency. Good job, Pamela. Robin, too. Good job. Transparency. Right? The T is for transparency. In order to impact lives, this is very, very important. In order to impact the world, it's very important. Why is it important? Well, number one, transparency creates relatability, right? So now, in being transparent, and listen, be transparent for the right reasons. Don't come in being transparent with different motives. Like, I'm gonna be transparent so I can grow my following. Like I said, when it's not real, it's not gonna connect. I promise you that. It's not gonna connect if it's not real. So be transparent, right? Transparency creates relatability. So now you go from standing at the top of the mountain, and a lot of people stay here, right? They're at the top of the mountain. They're telling people what to do, how to do it. They're talking to people. Talking at people, right? Not trying to understand people. That's a mistake that a lot of communicators make, is that they're talking at people. They're telling people what to do, what they should do to work harder and everything. It's okay with inspiring people and pushing people. But if you're always in that place, it's going to create a disconnect. You're going to hear me say that tons in this training, disconnect. So transparency, right? It takes you from the top of the mountain and it brings you down to the person that you're coaching or you're teaching level. If you guys, even if you listen to me, I talk about my struggles a lot. I'll say, man, like, I struggled this weekend, or I'm going through this, or I'm going through that. I don't do it all the time. I don't want to make it a sad story, right? But I'm not afraid to show y'all the real, because now it makes me human. And when you become human, you become relatable. As long as you're trying to operate like a god, right? it's going to be a disconnect. So we're trying to create impact people's lives, impact the world, impact social media. Transparency is very key. Even transparent moments. Like, I'm not saying you always have to talk about your struggle, but even the video with my daughter, if y'all seen it on my Instagram, right? That connected with people very well. It's a transparent moment. My daughter was looking busted. You know, she's beautiful even when she's busted, but she had stuff on her shirt. I'm looking busted. And I actually just did that. Like, that was probably from months ago. I saw it in my phone. And it's funny, Maria was like, you shouldn't post that. And I was like, why? She's like, look at Maya. Like, she's not. And I was like, that's the reason. Let me post it because I want to post it now. And it connected with people. People were like, oh, it's so beautiful. It was a transparent moment. It wasn't a perfect moment. It was a beautiful, transparent moment. And transparent moments are beautiful, right? If you learn how to share it, if you learn how to be confident in that, right? It creates relatability. The second thing transparency creates is creativity. Transparency creates creativity. When you free yourself from worrying about being judged, when you free yourself from worrying about being perfect, when you free yourself from the box that society tries to put you in, you release your creativity. You're not worried about, oh, I can't do this because people might judge me, right? When you think like that, you shrink your creativity. It's hard to be creative when you're thinking about if people are going to judge you, when you're thinking about if people are going to like you. Like, let them pick you apart. Who cares? But my most creative moments came from when I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm just like that. Like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to be me. I'm going to just be transparent. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. I don't care. It's real to me. It's freeing to me. You know, it's soothing for me. It's healing for me. And so I find my creativity when I'm not worried about if people will like it, when I'm not worried about if people will connect with it, you know, because I trust that what I'm doing is so real. I'm so connected with it, right? By this formula that we're talking about, that it's going to connect with people because it's coming from a real place. And I've said that 1,000 times today, but I just really want you to get that when it comes from a real place. I could have just said this and ended the whole thing. When it comes from a real place, it's going to touch real people. When it comes from a real place, it's going to create real impact. I guarantee you that. Okay. And so the homework in transparency is, what are you going to share that you struggle with this week or weekly? Like, what's something that you can share? How can you be transparent weekly? You know, how can you be transparent like weekly with something, right? So, you know, one of the things that touched me probably years ago is we did this thing called If You Really Knew Me. And if you took my Love Yourself Challenge, you know about that, right? Transparency Day was a part of that Love Yourself Challenge. And that was the day that most people struggle. And this is the reason why a lot of people don't create impact, because they're trying to be too perfect. They're trying to be too polished. They're trying to have the perfect words and making sure that I look pleasing to everybody else, making sure that my lipstick is right, making sure that my edge up is right, making sure that, you know, and I'm not telling you not to have self-care. Like, something wrong with, you know, wanting to take care of yourself. Nothing wrong with that. But don't let that stop you from impacting, right? Don't let it stop you. I was on stage the other day with like a wrinkled jacket. I took my jacket out of my bag. I was like, damn, this mug is wrinkled. And I was like, oh, well, this is going to see a wrinkled Trent. I'm be on stage wrinkled and all. I'm still going to impact, because I knew this. I said, I'm going to be so impactful that they're not even going to worry about what I'm wearing. That's the way I approach it. I'm going to be so impactful. If they're worried about what I'm wearing, I'm not impactful enough. I'm not showing up the way I need to show up. And that's key. And that's what it's about. This is how you create impact. These are literally 6 things that we talked about today that can make up this word impact. And you should always think about that. Like, okay, am I creating impact? Go through the list. Where are my intentions at? You know, what's the magnet, right? Am I locked in with my magnet? Like, before I step on stage, I remind myself, like, Trent, your magnet is this. You need to make sure you show up as this, right? Be free. Don't try to be something that you're not on stage, because you're in a new environment where there's business people and there's, you know, all these people that's, you know, suit and tie. That's not your magnet. Your magnet is swagged out T-shell. That's your magnet. Go up there and give your magnet to the world, right? So the magnet, P is for power, right? Power. How can you show up in power? Is it real for you? Got to be real. LBB it, live it, breathe it, be it. It has to be real for you. If it's not real for you, you're not going to create that connection. And we know connection is power. Activity, right? Movement. What are you doing daily? What are you doing daily to create that, right? Every single day, you should be doing something, some type of movement. Because when you're standing still in a negative way, all right, sometimes being still is key, right? In healing. I want to be clear about that. Sometimes it's not always about moving forward. That's a whole nother story. When it comes down to your brand, to your business, to whatever it is, like if you're standing still, everything else will too. I think J. Cole said that. And somebody said that. It wasn't J. Cole. It was Big Sean saying, you know, if I stand still, so everything else will. And that's a real line, right? So you need to be moving, creating movement in your life. Movement creates energy, It creates influence. No action, no impact. As we talked about, check yourself in the game, right? And check yourself in the game. Press the button. That actually would be pretty cool, guys. That actually would be pretty cool. Is that if you get we should get that. Like we should get some buttons. People ain't nobody gonna know about it. It's a TIC, right? We should get a button that like we press on our phone. That every single day we wake up and we you know how you go like in basketball games, they have the buzzer. You check yourself in. Like we need to do that. I think that would be very cool. Just like every day I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna press the buzzer. Woo, I'm checked in. Let's go. Time to go to work. My goal is to create a movement. Hey, Rhonda, that's great. That's great. But you know what's even better than a movement? A lifestyle. Movements end, right? Movements end. Sometimes movements don't move anymore. Create a lifestyle. When I built Rehab Time, I wanted the lifestyle. I didn't want a movement. I get what you're saying, right? I understand the premises of that. You know, it's a positive thing. But like lifestyle, like the lifestyle of Rehab, I want a lifestyle because this is something that's bigger than me. I think a movement depends on the leader, but a lifestyle is something that's deeper. We could talk about that on a later date. C, consistency. Show up. Consistency creates trust. It creates confidence. You know, don't come with an on and off switch. I mean, you guys know about consistency. I talk about that a lot. And T is for transparency, right? Transparency creates relatability, creativity, and it's one of the key components. All of these are, but a key component in connection. So, guys, this is about impact, all right? And I promise you, if you apply these things and you really focus, like you got to take time on this, right? You have to. Like you gotta take time. And like I said, that first part, your intention is very, very important. Very, very important because you can make a lot of money. You can, you know, have a lot of followers, but you won't always create a lot of impact. And that's the reason why if you're following me, if you're a part of the TIC family, I want you guys to create impact. I want you guys to get all those extra stuff. Like all the extra credit stuff is cool. Like, you know, if it's money, if it's, you know, followers and creating, you know, that's great. Cool. Like I'm not against that, by the way. I'm not against that. But I don't want that to be driving your life. I want impact to drive your life. Because I believe when you create impact, you know, those things will come eventually. Even if they don't come, you're still good because you're creating something that's priceless in people, right? That's priceless. One of the mottos that I like to live by is legacy over currency. Legacy over currency. What does that mean for me? It means that I want to create a legacy of self-worth. I want to create a legacy of Rehab Time, right? This TIC family. Like I want it to be known, you know, like the legacy of myself that I cared for people, that I showed up, that I lived it, that I breathed it, that, you know, Trent, you know, one of the things people say, and I take pride in is like, you are the same person, like in person. I'm just like, aren't you supposed to be? But when I hear that, it just tells me that, dang, a lot of these people aren't the same person in person. You know, a lot of these people preach that they care for people, but then, you know, they won't let them in the event for free if they had space, right? If they had space. So legacy over currency. You know, I'm being transparent with you, right? See, you see how this is working? I'm being transparent right now. So I'm creating deeper impact with you right now. Man, I hope you guys get this stuff. Like, this is deep stuff. Simple stuff, but deep stuff. But I'm being transparent with you right now. That I could be making a lot more money than what I make, right? I can make tremendous. I can make probably 10 times, and not even exaggerating, than what I make right now. At the cost of what, though? At the cost of what? Right? Do I want to take advantage of people? Even with this inner circle, I don't know if some of y'all are in the TSG group. Actually, I know some of you were in the TSG group, especially like Ron Rico. I know Ron was in there. And I asked you guys, I said, man, I'm thinking about starting a coaching group. What should I charge? Like I asked you guys that. There's not many people who would do that, for one. And some people say you should charge $200 a month. A lot of people did. Some people said 300. Some people said, man, it doesn't matter. Like whatever you charge, I'm there. Then some people said free. And it was all over the board. And so I know my value. I know the time that I'm taking away from my family, the time I'm putting into this, like it's something that I can't do for free, right? I give out so much free stuff out that I'm okay with charging for this because of all the free stuff I give out and the value that I deliver in this. I mean, like this is an extra credit, right? I said, man, I want to give you guys more value, but I want it to be fair to you guys, right? I could have easily charged $99 and a lot of you still would have showed up. But I say, you know what? Legacy over currency. I want to impact more people. So let's go here. I think this is fair, especially for you guys. I think it's fair. I think people can find a way, not everybody can because everybody's in different circumstances, but I think people can find a way, right? Legacy over currency. When I go speak, there's times when I get my speaking fee. If I'm going to a business that I know has it, especially if it's a business that don't like to bring in people like me, I'm gonna tax them. Just straight up because I know they have it. But when it's people that don't have it, and I have to say no a lot because I can't be everywhere, right? I can't overextend myself. But like I went to a church and I was like, man, just pay me whatever. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'm here to serve. Legacy over currency. And so I easily could have been like, nah, I'm going to pay me this. I'm not going. But I would have missed out on impacting those lives. So I could be like a lot of these people, multi-millionaires easily because I see how they do it and what they do. And not saying everybody who's a millionaire doesn't do it for the right reason, because there's a lot of my friends in this industry are, even having brands that are really there for the right reason, right? And they're making money from it, which is okay. But like I said, there's a lot of people though it's all about that. And if you took away that part of it, you took away the currency, I don't believe they would still be doing what they do. I think if you took away the following, I don't think they would be still doing what they do. And so it lets me know that it's not real for them. And so I want you guys to be impacted today to make it real for you. And it's okay if it's not. Like this influencer world, building your brand and being all this stuff is not for everybody, and understand like influencing sometimes it's just being a mom, being a dad. You're already influencing that space too. Like you don't have to be, some public figure. I want to be clear about that. But if it's in your heart to be more and to be something like, you want to get into this, what a lot of you aren't on here for, then just make sure that you stay grounded. Like it's okay to have your head up high, but don't have your nose up in the air with it. I hope you got that. I know that's kind of hard, but you see what I'm saying? Like keep your head up high because you're confident, but don't stick your nose up with it. There's a lot of people who hold their head up high, but their nose is up high too. Their nose is in the air. And I think that's not a way to serve. I don't believe that's a way to create lasting impact on people's lives. And so I'm a guy that's always going to be about legacy over currency. And I think that's why you see, the result of what it is. That's why you see me being the most followed speaker. Now, I don't say that to boost my ego. Like that doesn't matter to me. But there's a reason why. Like people always ask, well, it's funny. I've been in rooms where people have said like, oh, you have a lot of followers, but, I have more money, without saying it directly, because nobody's going to like disrespect me like that. But they'll say it indirectly. And I'm just like, or it's not about social media followers or, people will say like, likes don't equal dollars. And I've said that before. And it's true. It's true because too many people get caught up in the likes. But what's also true is you're making impact, right? So if you have followers and I really call supporters, you're making impact on people. And so to me, that's more important than having, I'd rather be the most followed speaker than to be the richest one. And that's me. That's just my preference. And everybody's preference is different. But that's That's what I would rather be if I had to choose one. I'd rather be the most followed person, the most engaged speaker, right? Online, like the biggest, best community, than to be the richest or the most famous. Just depends what you out for. Let's take some questions real quick before I get off of here. If Brenda, I don't know if Brenda's still on here, but if you have some questions, Brenda, that you took, that'd be great. If not, I'm in the chat roll right now. And yeah, I'm looking right now, guys. So go ahead and ask some questions. We're gonna got about 10 minutes to answer some questions. Did you guys get some out of today? I felt that you did. I mean, I think this was a very powerful training. It's literally, I try to keep stuff so simple. I don't want to give you guys like a whole bunch of like stuff that just sounds good that's really can be condensed to something simple. I want to give you guys, tangible things that you actually can apply to your life. So Ann said, how can we be okay with people giving up on themselves? That's hard. I mean, I think the best way to be okay with it is realizing that you can't change a person. You can't. And so when it comes to me, okay, Brenda said she don't see so many questions. Okay, cool. Just ask questions here. I'm looking. But it said you can't change people. And so I'm never okay with people giving up on themselves. I don't want anybody to give up on themselves, but I know I can't prevent. I can only influence, which I'll try my best, and I can impact, which I'll try my best, but I can't make someone not give up. And there's times where people have given up. There's times people have left this group. And there's only so much I can do. Right? I can't do it for them. That makes sense. I.M.P.A.C.T, best training tonight. How do I ignore my family's doubts? They're your family's doubts. They're not your doubts. Your family is always going to doubt what they don't know, right? And so if you're talking about that, the doubts they put on you, you have to realize where that comes from. I talk about that a lot. I actually talked about it on a podcast. Like they project their fears on you, or they're trying to protect you, right? A lot of times it's not from a place of malice. It's because they're trying to protect you, right? They're like, oh, I don't want you to. It's like when I wanted to be a rapper. Like my mom was like, you shouldn't be a rapper because she was trying to protect me, right? She didn't want me to go down that road, and I'm glad I didn't become a rapper. But she didn't want me to go down that road. So a lot of times it's not necessarily from a place of malice, it's just from a place of protection. But you got to realize where that's coming from. Is it coming from a place of experience? Is it coming from a place of accomplishment? More than likely, it's not. People are going to throw you doubts when they haven't achieved that themselves. And so you have a choice. You can listen to it or you cannot listen to it. I just want to know how to overcome my shyness in public to show the passion of what I am and what I've done so much in my life to survive. So Cheryl, how to overcome the shyness in public? You got to step up and just do it. Just like Nike, and do it. One of the things that I did was I went to karaoke. And I know this sounds funny, but I did. I was at karaoke at Applebee's. I remember because I was like that guy that was like, I'm not doing no karaoke. I was like, I'm gonna be shy and embarrassed. So like, let me just go do it. Like, why not? I can't sing, and I actually picked the song with me singing. So I'm gonna sound terrible. But once I get through this, it's like, who cares? I did it. And so I would just tell you to go do something that you're shy to do, and just you have to do it. The only way to get over it is to go through it. The only way to get over it is to go through it. And so we talked about that with fear, right? Remember I said, like, do something that you fear and go attack it, like me with skydiving. And so you want to build up that muscle. So the best way to overcome your shyness is to be consistent in showing up and to know that, hey, you always can grow. When I was shy to speak on stage, for me, when my impact, when my purpose, I don't want to use the word purpose in this, when my mission became bigger than my worry, I showed up. Man, that's powerful. When my mission became bigger than my worry, than my fear, than my doubt, I showed up. And so with me being on stage, yeah, like I'm not the most, extroverted person, by the way. But over time, I've learned to embrace myself, right? I learned to understand my magnet and my power, and I built confidence over time. But, I would just show up. And it took me focusing on serving instead of focusing on myself. Because when you're focusing on serving, you're not trying to be perfect. You're just trying to impact. right? But when you're focused on yourself, worrying about how you're going to sound, or how people are going to judge me, they're going to look at me a certain type of way, you're going to always feel that shyness inside you. So what you focus on is what you will feel, right? Your focus will lead your direction. So if you don't like the direction that you're heading, or you don't like the emotion that you're feeling, you want to change your focus, right? So if you're feeling shyness, your focus is probably on judgment. It's probably on I'm not enough at some point. Maybe it's even going back. We talk about the rehab training, right? Going back to where that root is. Like, have you always been shy? And if so, why? Maybe it was a time where something happened to you and you were embarrassed, or somebody made fun of you and said that, so you developed this shyness about you. So just show up and just know that you always can grow. There's always room to grow. Let's see what else we got. Trey got bars. Yeah, I got bars for sure. Y'all know that. How do you? Okay, cool. How do you let people around to realize to stay humble and not greedy? What do you mean by that, Ron? Reword that for me, brother. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate you. People can't deal with emotion. They can't deal with. I'm always nervous before I speak, but then bam. Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, I'm always nervous before I speak too, because I care. But when I step on stage, it goes away. Because I'm in my element. I'm like, okay, I'm not worried about being perfect anymore. I'm just worried about impacting lives. I'm gonna go to hospitals, but they fear I won't accept me. I became their patient. My methods are not normal. Yeah, just go. Only thing they can do is reject you. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Rejection is just redirection. Like, I look at rejection as a blessing. I'm just like, all right, cool. Well, another opportunity. Rejection doesn't take away from my self-confidence. I know rejection has nothing to do with who I am, right? It's just they don't understand what I'm doing. And that's okay. Everybody's not going to understand it. So I don't take rejection personally. Any more questions? How would one speak to a nursing home? I have no problem talking to them for free. Yeah, so just reach out, Cheryl. Reach out. Find a nursing home. Reach out. But I believe I would get a greater lesson about, like, yeah. So reach out, Cheryl. Just asking you volunteer. Say, hey, this is my mission, and this is what I want to just donate my time. So can I speak to your nursing home? And maybe they might say no, and maybe say, okay, well, can I just donate my time and help out? And then you build that relationship with them over time to where they let you speak. So there's different ways to get in there, but if you focus on bringing value, I think the doors will always open for you to speak. Do I ever just go blank on stage? Yes, I do. My very first speaking engagement, I went blank, and that's what taught me how to just speak from the heart and just be real with myself. But yeah, even times I go blank, but I know where to pull from, right? If I go blank, I know where to go to. I'm able to work the room. I'm able to ask questions. So if I go blank, I make fun of it sometimes. Like, I'm like, man, I just forgot what I was about to say. Anybody ever do that before? For real, man. And that time gives me time to redirect. I'll go back to my notes. I'll be like, listen, let me go back to my notes real quick so I can get back on track. It's okay. Like, I think we just put up this thing that we have to be perfect when we perform. It's not the case, right? Check yourself in the game. Some days you're going to have perfect games. Some days you're going to be lights out. Some days you're not. But the days that you're not are the ones that are really going to help you the most, because you can learn from those, right? You can grow from those. Yeah. Cool, guys. Let me see. One of my favorite quotes that makes us official. One of my favorite quotes is pride makes us official. How do you balance? Oh, hold on. My baby's crying. Come here, Maya. Come here. 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 Where you at? Come here. Daddy time. See, it's one of these moments, right? You got to do daddy time. Come here, Maya. Come here. Want to come with me? Come here. I'm on live right now, Maya. Come on. You can join me right quick, okay? They're asking me questions. It's okay. Just want to hang out with daddy? It's okay. You always get daddy's attention first, okay? Okay. They're asking me questions right now. They're asking me questions about make an impact. So I'm gonna answer one more question, and then it's me and you time. Okay? Is that okay? Okay. Let me ask one more question. But they saying hi to you. Saying hi, Maya. Wave to them. Okay. Let me see. Like I see some of you around me starting to be successful and get a big head and forget where they come from. I try to tell them to stay humble and blessed. Yeah, Ron, you can't control that, man. I mean, you can, try to help them and say, hey, man, don't forget where you come from. Like, don't forget the reason why you started, but you can't, make people get it all the time. And that's just facts. And then to Michael, I think it was Michael that asked me about pride and humility, like how you balance it. For me, it's realizing that, you know, this was given to me by God. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that could easily be taken away. And it's not about me. It's about serving. And I've been in a place where I've had everything in my life, football, and lost it all and was very humble. And so and it's funny because I'll see people walk around with security and like, I'm just like, what are you doing, dog? Like, it's not that serious. You're not Michael Jackson, but it's like, you'll see that. And I've had security because they made me have it, but I'm like, I tell them to get away from me. I'm like, I don't want security. Like, I'm me. I don't need security, and those things keep me humble, shipping shirts keeps me humble, like keeps me grounded. My producer Shane, the coffin video that I posted, like he'll send me stuff like that to keep me grounded, to let me know, hey bro, you human. And my team around me keeps me like they know my greatness, right? But they also keep me in check. I feel like I don't need that much because I understand it. But having people around you that keep you grounded is very important, right? They keep your confidence high, but at the same time, keep your feet on the ground is very, very important. She's frowning. She won't say that. Smile for him. I think you're frowning. Give him a smile. Give him a smile. No, give him a smile. Can you smile? Say, gee. There you go. That's my baby girl. All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys have a great training. We're going here for an hour and 22 minutes. Make sure that you go into the group, write what you learned, maybe write down what you're going to do, what you took from it. Like I said, if you have cool quotes or notes, you want to create some quotes and tag me on Instagram or just send me a DM. I'm going to be posting, stuff all day. If you want to make a video about what you learned, that's great too. So I just want you guys to really focus on impact, go through those that we talked about. And just be the greatest you and make the world respect your greatness. Like I said at the end of every single video, it all starts with you. Say, it's rehab time. You said that? Say, let's get it. Let's get it. Who's that right there? Yeah. She just woke up, guys. You gotta live it. You gotta live it. And this is a part of it. This is a part of it. I'm a human. This is transparency. We talked about that, right? This is transparency. My daughter was crying. I could have been like trying to hide it, but no, it's transparency. It's real. This is real life. And the more you can bring real life into what you do, especially now, the more you're going to connect with people, right? The more it's going to make you human. You want to be human. Like, you want people to know that you're human. Hope that helped. Rehab time. Let's get it. Say peace.